Merry Christmas. How you doing? Did Santa bring you some cool stuff? I hope so. It's 8:21 in the morning, December 25th. 30 degrees outside, light fog here in western Iowa, half the calories of our regular fog. And here's where the white Christmas is today. This is where the snow depth should be this afternoon, and pretty much what we've been talking about for the last week. Getting down into West Virginia, New England, lots of places with a white Christmas across the northern plains, upper Midwest, and the mountains in the west. And I'm going to switch things up a little bit because I want to talk about the temperature changes and the pattern changes that are coming for January. And it's going to be kind of dramatic. So this is your 8 to 14 day temperature outlook. This is what we usually end on. January 1st through the 7th, below average is a good bet for places like Wyoming into Colorado, where Wyoming in particular doesn't have snow. Look at this white Christmas map. You would think Wyoming would have a white Christmas. Well, western Wyoming, yes, and some of the mountains, but a lot of Wyoming, no snow on the ground. We're going to fix that, it looks like, as we get into January. Also, it's been chilly in the southeast. That's going to continue, and a slight chance of above average temperatures for the northeast. But check out the precipitation. Looking at you, Wyoming, below average temperatures and above average precipitation. That should mean some snow for you. So maybe you can make up for lost time. And much of the country with above average precipitation as we get into January, Alaska and Hawaii too. And here's an experimental map that the National Weather Service cranks out. This is your risk of heavy snow for the first week of January. And Wyoming's solidly in this, so is Colorado. Even the western plains into West Texas and New Mexico, and a slight risk of heavy snow up there in the Cascades, Oregon and Washington, and way up in New England as well. And then check out these temperatures. This is noontime, January 8th. So at noon, January 8th, where I live here in western Iowa, it looks like the temperature is going to be around zero, maybe 1 or 2 degrees below zero, 3 degrees for Des Moines, 3 for Omaha. This is noontime, January 8th. Teens all the way down into Texas and New Mexico, and even teens and 20s getting into the rest of the Midwest, and this cold air will be pressing southward and eastward. So some things to look forward to in a week or so. Let's get back to reality for today, because our anomalous temperatures today are just above average pretty much everywhere except along the East Coast, slightly below average. Your 24-hour temperature change from yesterday, much cooler west, especially California, Oregon, Nevada, as a Pacific storm has moved in. A little cooler too in Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, up into Wisconsin and the Northeast, and a little bit cooler for parts of the Southeast, and a little bit warmer for the rest of the Southeast from yesterday. Those current temperatures, again, we're 30, light fog here in western Iowa, mid-20s when you get down to like Hastings, Nebraska, 30s for much of Kansas. Still cold in the Southeast, with temperatures near freezing or just above. But then you get over to Louisiana, Texas. I mean, we're starting out in the 50s this morning. 40s for Tucson. Chilly start to your Christmas Day. 40s in the Pacific Northwest along the coast, but 30s and some 20s as you head inland in the west. Hazards for today. Yeah, dense fog advisory. We're on the west or the eastern edge of that. We didn't quite get the dense fog. Otherwise, I'd be out at the lake taking pictures, because fog is really fun to take pictures in. But anyway, fog an issue through the plains into Missouri, and the West Coast is getting most of the weather. I know we're all having weather, but anyway, the more dramatic weather is out west, with some wind issues in California and a little bit of fog there too in Central California. Winter weather advisories for the mountains of the Siskiyous and the Sierras. That goes up the Cascades of Oregon. You get into Washington, it's a winter storm warning, so be warned. There'll be a winter storm, winter weather advisories heading over to Idaho into western Montana, and winter storm watches for Idaho into western Wyoming. Could see a big storm coming. Severe for tomorrow. This is tomorrow. East Texas into Louisiana, a slight risk. And that includes a slight risk of tornadoes. So a 5% risk of some tornadoes from Dallas to Shreveport down to Houston. And then a 2% risk around that in the green. If it sounds like I'm lisping a little, I bit my tongue really hard at dinner a couple nights ago, and it's still, it's making me talk funny at times. It's weird. Anyway, Friday, we continue with severe weather sliding further to the east into Louisiana and Mississippi. So we'll keep you posted as we get closer to that. Next 2 days of precipitation. Well, yeah, if you're having severe weather, you're probably getting some heavy rain too. And this is where we're, seeing up to 2 inches of rain, perhaps, into East Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, and Oklahoma. The West, however, getting hammered with a winter storm. 3-4 inches of rain along the coast from Northern California all the way up to the Olympic Mountains. And of course, in the mountains, that's going to be heavy snow. And it is 2-3 feet of snow in the Cascades of Washington. Wow. And then inland, the snow levels drop a little bit, but still mainly mountain snow here, up to a foot and a half for lots of locations from Idaho all the way down to Colorado, Nevada, into Montana as well. Surface for today, there's that storm in the west with rain and snow depending on elevation and location. Heavy snow, mountains, Oregon, Washington, Northern California, and trying to get into Idaho there. We have our little system for East Texas into Louisiana, some storms all the way from Alabama up to Oklahoma. And again, tomorrow and the next day is when we're expecting the severe weather. So not today, maybe tonight. And then tomorrow's surface, there we go. Severe storms possible, East Texas, Louisiana, heavy rain, flash flooding possible into Arkansas as well. For the west, still a lot of snow, Oregon, Idaho, Washington, Montana, California, and rain or snow depending. For the rest of the west into the Central Rockies, rain all the way up into Canada. And then some rain in the southeast too. That would be in the form of thunderstorms maybe for Florida, the Sunshine State. That will continue on Friday. And again, our slight risk of severe weather, Louisiana, Mississippi on Friday as well. Maybe some ice, Pennsylvania, New York, but very warm central and east with lots of rain mainly. Again, all the way to the Canadian border. West is still rocking heavy snow, Idaho, Montana, Washington, Oregon, California. All right, let's check it out in the GFS model. Where did I go? Let's put myself back in here. Oh, wow. I don't know. We could probably do without me in here, to be honest with you. In fact, let me take myself out. I'm in the way. So, but you can see my cursor. There you go. We have snow this Christmas morning into Utah. It looks like rain around Salt Lake. Sorry. Some rain in Idaho, higher elevations. Here's your thunderstorms right now going on Houston through Louisiana into Arkansas as we go through Christmas Day. More snow for Utah, for eastern Idaho, into western Wyoming and Colorado. But our next storm system approaching the Pacific Northwest, and you see that heavy rain along the coast, heavy snow, especially Washington into Oregon. Washington mainly, Cascades, my goodness. And then some rain busting out in the southeast. This gets us through to tonight. This is 9 o'clock tonight Central and midnight tonight Central. And again, heavy rain, Northern California through Washington coast and heavy snow in the Cascades, a little lighter snow as you head into eastern Oregon and Washington. And so that's the biggest storm in town. Moving inland, looks like a chance for some snow for Boise. I did look up the forecasters talking about rain and snow. And less than an inch accumulation possible. So they're saying there's a chance for accumulation possible. But if you're in Boise, I would refer you to your local TV guys and gals because they'll have the latest for you. But again, rain along the coast in Oregon with this big storm that's moving onshore as we get in tomorrow. This is tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Central. And as we go through, this is noon Central. So again, snow spreading into Utah, Parts of Nevada getting snow, Idaho, snow, some rain at the lower elevations. And then we see our severe weather threat for Friday. Arkansas into Louisiana. Storms just lining up and marching off to the east into Mississippi, western Tennessee, into Paducah, Kentucky, and over to Bowling Green down through Nashville. Kind of falling apart a little bit here, which is probably fine. Rain and snow for the Pacific Northwest. This is Friday now. Friday at noon Central. And as we get through the day, Friday afternoon, evening, we have rain in Minnesota, rain in Michigan, rain in West Virginia. What is going on? Again, remember, we're going to fix this in January. Snow moving through the west, rain and snow for the Pacific Northwest, and some heavy snow moving into Idaho. Rain down in the valley here, but you see snow all around, and it's heavy at times. And some heavy rain in Northern California. We're seeing more showers and storms busting out from Kentucky all the way down into the southeast. This is early Saturday morning. This is 6 a.m. Saturday morning Central. So rain all the way from Ohio down through Louisiana. A little bit of snow mixed into your rain. That's closer to normal for Minnesota. And then the Pacific Northwest, again, dealing with another system with rain and snow moving onshore. As we get into Saturday night, Kentucky, Tennessee, some big showers and storms here. Nashville probably getting hit pretty hard. And then that marches off to the east as we get into the day Sunday. This is Sunday morning with some rain in eastern Tennessee, northern Georgia, into West Virginia. Heavy rain, Oregon and California, snow inland. As we're getting into Sunday now, this is Sunday at noon Central. Some heavy showers from Virginia, the regular Virginia, into North Carolina and South Carolina, and then a big mess in the west again. I mean, the west is just seeing storm after storm after storm, which is kind of like a La Nina pattern. So it's not unusual under these La Nina setups to see the west get a lot of rain and snow, and that certainly is what is happening here. Meanwhile, on the East Coast, it's warm. It's raining in New York, Pennsylvania, down through North Carolina. This is midnight Sunday night, getting into Monday now, 6 a.m. Central. Some pretty good showers here for Connecticut into Massachusetts, even Vermont and New Hampshire. And we're starting to see some snow spreading into the plains. South Dakota, you haven't seen that much snow. So here comes a chance. Hey, there you go, Wyoming. A chance for snow as we're getting into the 30th and down into Colorado. And now we're starting to see, this is the 30th in the evening, some rain here in western Iowa, snow when you get up to like Spencer and then up into Minnesota. Will this wrap around and bring snow to western Iowa by the 31st? Well, one of the models says yes, and two say no. And the GFS, I think, is one of them that says no. It's rain here on the 30th in the evening as we head into midnight. It's mostly rain, maybe a few snowflakes mixed in, and then that storm moves off to the east. So not a lot of snow expected western Iowa, except for, I believe it's the Canadian model that has some snow here. So I'm holding out hope. We get into Tuesday morning, rain moving into the Great Lakes. The cold air is coming. You see the 540 line dipping south on January 1st. Well, the 31st at midnight and January 1st. So some of that cold air is starting to spill down. But that first week of January, and the second week of January, it's really going to get cold. And so then we get to the first here. We'll see more rain and snow for the northwest. Some big storms now in the southeast as we get into the second. Moving faster here because this is more of the land of uncertainty. But I just want to show you, more of these storms moving across the west. More rain, more snow for you moving into the plains. That includes you, Wyoming, and Colorado. Some rain hanging on here in the southeast. This is getting us into the 4th, Saturday the 4th. Now we're seeing some snow. Nebraska into Iowa, South Dakota, Colorado back into Wyoming. And when we get into the 5th, This is probably our best chance of a real snow here in western Iowa would be January 5th, and that would include South Dakota, Nebraska, into Minnesota and Wisconsin. And so we'll be watching that because I'm looking forward to our first real snow, and it looks like that's our best chance coming up, and then it's just going to get cold. All right, let's go through the next 7 days temperature-wise, and this is today, Christmas Day. 60s all the way into Tennessee and Kentucky. Down into the southeast, a few 50s thrown in, especially when you get into Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. 40s further north, and then 30s New England, 30s Northern Plains, upper Midwest, even 30s here in Iowa, but above freezing. And then the West Coast, 40s for the Willamette Valley, 50s Central California coast. And I do believe those are 60s in southern Arizona, so kind of chilly by their standards for Christmas. All right, lows tomorrow morning. It's going to be cold. I mean, it is December. A lot of 20s all the way down into the Four Corners and down into, say, Virginia, 30s for North Carolina, South Carolina, into Georgia. But the real cold stuff up there in upstate New York over to Maine with single digits tomorrow morning. Highs tomorrow afternoon, hanging on to the freezing temperatures northeast and North Dakota and the Rockies and the higher elevations. But yeah, 50s for Lubbock, that's probably par for the course this time of year. 60s and 70s, the rest of Texas into Louisiana. 50s for the southeast, some 60s, but 50s mostly. And still kind of cool down there in Phoenix and Tucson with 60s. Getting a little bit warmer on Friday. That includes the southeast, even moving into the Midwest. Some of those warmer temperatures poking northward. Saturday, we see even that more dramatically. So, yeah, we got more warmth before we get frozen. And then Sunday, rounding out the weekend, just pretty warm for this time of year. How about next week? Monday, we're starting to see some of that cold air return to the northern plains, the upper Midwest, sinking into the plains. And so by Tuesday, 40s in Iowa become 30s and freezing. All right, let's talk about a white New Year's because I just got bored and I thought it'd be fun. So here's where there should be snow on the ground according to the Canadian. This is noon New Year's Day. And the GFS looks like this and the Euro looks like this. So the Canadian, probably the most optimistic, especially if you're in the plains and into the Midwest. But look at that, Wyoming. We're getting you some snow back. GFS has less snow for Wyoming, but snow. And less snow for Iowa, but some snow. Same for you, Nebraska. And then the Euro kind of splits the difference for Wyoming, Nebraska. In fact, probably Euro's most optimistic for Wyoming. But the Canadian for Nebraska looks the best. And for Iowa as well, and then so the Euro. So this gives you an idea. We're seeing more areas with more snow than, say, what we're seeing for today's white Christmas for some. All right, Merry Christmas. I hope you have an awesome day. Thank you for tuning in. And we're going to keep going. I know the channel's growing slowly, but, I appreciate each and every sub and each and every view. It's encouraging. And I just doing it for fun. And of course, you always hope to grow if you're on YouTube, but I'll leave that up to you guys and the algorithm. Have a great day. We will see you tomorrow right here on the Weather Mic.